When you think about the idea of modern jail security, you probably imagine a sound exactly like this. Correctional security is an active operational framework, moving the focus away from a passive reliance on mechanical locks. Relying exclusively on physical infrastructure, like thicker walls and upgraded locks, creates a dangerous illusion. A heavy steel door is ineffective if nobody is watching it. This is the starting point for the Arkansas 2026 Correctional Facility Standards. The state treats passive infrastructure as exactly that, passive. State rules treat the physical building as a baseline, focusing instead on the human systems required to operate it safely. An unmonitored barrier is a compromised barrier. True facility safety requires an active human operational system. This diagram shows how that operational system is built. To protect staff, detainees, and the public, Arkansas requires a layered architectural approach, starting with continuous staffing and supervision. The state ensures consistency by binding local jail operations to strict minimum standards. The next required layer is written procedures and meticulous logging. Whether administrators are running a small county lockup or a massive state penitentiary, the operational risks are identical. Contraband control and sanitation complete this active operational matrix. These specific domains, staffing, supervision, written procedures, contraband interdiction, sanitation, and emergency readiness, form the entire framework of the state's security model. These priorities must overlap continuously to maintain order in a high-pressure environment. The effectiveness of this model relies on the integration of these layers. A failure in one domain creates a vulnerability that the others are not designed to cover. The absolute bedrock rule of Arkansas jails is straightforward. A facility must never be left unattended while a person is confined there. This map visualizes minimum staffing requirements. Awake, alert personnel on duty 24 hours a day, positioned to hear detainees at all times. Visual observation operates on a strict clock. Personnel must visually check and account for detainees before this 60-minute interval expires. These regular checks are non-negotiable. The 60-minute maximum interval ensures that every individual in custody is physically accounted for around the clock. Standard intervals cannot account for sudden behavioral changes. Confinement induces levels of stress that can manifest as aggression or self-harm without warning. For detainees who are under 18, suicidal, or identified as behaviorally high risk, the protocol escalates. The maximum observation interval drops to 30 minutes, doubling the required frequency of visual sweeps. These strict time intervals are mandated because serious custodial incidents escalate in minutes. Continuous human proximity is the only reliable preventative measure against sudden violence or medical emergencies. Standardized logs and written procedures serve as technical tools for verifying that staff meet the state's 24-hour observation requirements. This interface shows the required logging process. Every 30-minute and 60-minute visual check must be formally documented with a specific timestamp and staff identifier. Accountability is necessary as staff make rapid decisions under pressure. Standardized rules remove ambiguity. Over time, these logs build a critical dataset. Administrators analyze this history to identify behavioral patterns and correct vulnerabilities before an incident. Clear procedures guide critical moments, including shift handoffs, thorough physical searches, and the movement of detainees. In an environment where a single missed check can cost a life, standardized documentation transforms human fallibility into measurable security. Contraband and access control represent the most persistent threats to internal facility safety. To manage these threats, Arkansas enforces strict operational prohibitions. Detainees can never have authority over others, access to facility records, or control over security keys. The state reinforces this operational mandate with severe legal consequences. Introducing contraband into an Arkansas correctional facility is a felony offense. This visual represents the security of everyday items. Tools, knives, and maintenance implements pose severe risks if they are not strictly controlled. The state dictates that all such implements must be inventoried and physically accounted for at all times. The risk of a missing item is immediate. A lost wrench can become a weapon, a lock-picking device, or a tool for structural sabotage. Strict inventory logs and felony deterrence exist because internal security is an access control problem, where a single breach can weaken the overall defense. Maintaining a secure perimeter requires functional environmental systems to keep the facility's interior habitable. Sanitation and safety share a direct relationship. Poor conditions create operational disruptions that threaten facility stability. This flowchart illustrates why the Arkansas Department of Corrections mandates a designated safety and sanitation officer. Notice how poor sanitation escalates into illness, rising inmate tension, and severe operational disruption. Specific health-related rules, like mandatory tuberculosis control and inmate education, function as preemptive security measures to stop these disruptions before they start. By preventing illness, the facility reduces medical emergencies and staff interruptions, ensuring that environmental stability supports security operations. Even with every layer of the system running, crises still occur. A facility's operational architecture faces its most severe test during mass emergencies, such as a widespread fire, a medical crisis, or a complete power failure. This chart diagrams the reaction matrix. Fast, effective emergency action is only possible because the foundational building blocks, staffing, documented procedures, and strict inventory control feed into a coordinated response. Early risk identification through reliable communication and accurate logs is safer and more effective than managing a reactive response. The Board of Corrections and the Department of Corrections oversee these standards, demanding rigorous local implementation across the state. The Arkansas 2026 model shows that reliable security does not rely on static walls, but on a relentless, disciplined execution of human observation and strict policy.